Alright everyone, welcome back to another Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes video with Fat Phil, and today I want to go over the Naboo raid. I've done 2 attempts now that I've kept. I'm going to show you guys a Jedi run that I can hopefully narrate while I talk about this raid. So, there's a couple of aspects that this raid has gotten a lot of negative feedback for. I think some of it is warranted, but I think a lot of it is being very harsh, and especially when people are comparing this to the Sith raid. If you weren't around for the beginning of the Sith raid, you have no idea what it was like. That remember, back in the day, it was an all or nothing event. So if you didn't beat the Sith raid, you got nothing. So if your guild is shooting for this 130 million box, you only get 90, you still get rewards, right? You still are getting rewards, even if you don't reach the box that you want. The only way you don't is if you don't hit 10 million points, which, like, if you don't hit 10 million points, you're probably too small to be doing this raid. So don't feel like, in the old days, man, you got nothing for that Sith raid. So there were guilds that had that raid for months and months that didn't earn rewards until they beat it. So just pump the brakes a little bit. I don't want to be overly negative, so please like and subscribe, comment down below, let me know your thoughts. Let's give a huge shout out to the channel members for continuing to support me through thick and thin. Thank you guys so much. You are so appreciated and loved by the Fat Phil family. Thank you for keeping the faith in me through good and bad. Let's talk about this raid, guys, and let's get into the video. So I do want to show you guys some my 2 attempts. So I was able to max score with Gungans here at, I was able to max out with them. And then I was also able to score 1.3 million with Darth Maul, Darth Sidious, and Newt Gunray. So both of these were on the Relic 7 tier, so that's where my score is sitting at 3.1 million right now. With that said, there was heavy remodding required. And that is something that we are seeing that is very prevalent through this, through this game mode so far, is that the amount of remodding is extensive, right? There's a lot of remodding going on, and I think the remodding, I'm okay with it from a standpoint as I put mods back on, because I want to show you guys this, right? That it's fine to have us remod characters. I don't hate it, it's okay. But your UI in the game is not the best when it comes to remodding, so it takes a lot of time to remod for every single one of these runs, and you've also got to do that while kind of keeping in touch with Grand Arena and Territory Wars and Conquest. And so it's a lot of work that if your UI was a little bit better, that we could mass equip mods and mass unequip, and if there was some things like that, like Hot Utils has, that would be fantastic, because a lot of players go outside of the game, like Hot Utils, Grand Ivory, to make their experience easier. And the fact that mods have been in the game for this long and it's still an issue is something that I do think needs addressed, because it's a lot of time and players are not going to want to do this time and time again. Now, to play the devil's advocate, if you're like, Egnard's, where he was kind of talking about the Boomadir Omicron, and one of the things that he said is, I can basically set this on auto and I'm fine. So, there is that aspect that there are some things you can do to make your raid experience a little bit better. So as you guys are seeing, I'm still having to equip a ton of mods here. Still got a lot of work before I get back to normal. And then I'm going to be re-equipping mods as I go for my next run here with some Galactic Republic Jedi. So there, all my mods are back, right? You can see, the only empty slots are on the characters that I took them all off of. So let's put their mods back. This is not something that I'm looking forward to doing a lot, but I think initially, until our guild, until my guild kind of right sizes, we get everything going, then maybe we can talk about not having to remod quite as much as we get closer and reach our goals. So that's kind of one aspect to this raid. Cinematically, I think it's a masterpiece. I love the cinematics of this raid. I think they're amazing. As you guys saw, I used an Underman of Sidious, and with the Maul team, I used an Underman Gungan team, so we are able to Underman. That was a fear I had going into this raid, and that is much different. So very pleased with that. In terms of difficulty, I definitely think that the difficulty below Relic 5 is significant. Like, I had a harder time doing Relic, the tier 3 with a Luminara team than I did the tier 5. So that was kind of scary, right? Now, the next team we're going to use is this Jedi team, right? So, and then again, we're going to be heavily remodding these guys, you know. Now, what I did here is I just used all the mods for one character, right? You guys will see, like, for some of them, it's just all of the mods off of a single character that I'm going to be using because I don't feel like having to, you know, unfortunately, just the way I am, I don't feel like I need to be, you know, I don't want to have to keep remodding and constantly making changes. Like, I'd rather just do, 5 characters. So, equipping some crazy mods on these cats, and hopefully that allows us to score well in this raid. But, you know, we're still learning, right? We're still trying to figure out what the best way is through this raid. We're still trying to make sure that we, complete everything, right? I do really like this Kelleran Beck team. It does feel fun. It does feel like a lot of fun. That Kaidi Mundi special, man, that is just a lot of fun to use, and it resets his cooldown. So I am having fun kind of playing Swago again. And that's something I wanted to mention with this raid is that it does feel like with this raid, we're back to kind of playing Swago. One of the issues I had in some of the previous raids was that it kind of felt like you weren't playing Star Wars anymore. That we were just kind of, like the speeder bike raid. It didn't really help prepare you for any kind of, how would I say it? Like, the speeder bike raid didn't teach you how to use any of those characters because it wasn't any of their abilities. It was just, these these raid-specific abilities. So, the fact that this one we're kind of getting back to, using the characters as, their abilities that you would use in a grand arena, even if it is a bit, juiced up because of modifiers, it's still better than what it was, right? I'm still okay with it. This team, again, we're kind of taking advantage of the mini Zealous Ambition. So let's keep, we're going to keep working here. So we're getting some good damage out of this. I'm trying to spam that ability with Kaidi Mundi because it does, that ability resets its cooldowns when we deal when you kill somebody with it, it resets its cooldown. So you can just spam that, deal a lot of damage. I very much like using that. It's significantly better. I would say it's significantly better than the basic. There we go. We got our, massively overpowered here. Let's kill that guy, reset our cooldowns again. The one thing that is frustrating is that it's, there is this element of like, the whole protection disruption and stuff that you're like, what is, trying to get rid of that can be kind of annoying, but, you just have to kind of time some of your abilities so that way we're, like keeping everybody alive. One thing I have noticed with this team that is very important is you just need to, when available, you just need to get kills. Like, you just want to try and get kills, because this raid is, like I said, or I don't think I said it like this, but your points in this raid are an all or nothing thing, right? Either, like, you don't get points for dealing damage to the droids, you only get points for the actual kill itself. My Mace Windu getting a little bit low there, I don't like that. Let's heal you up. There we go, nice. So yeah, like, it's you kind of target, yeah, there we go. Like, you target the droids that are lowest in health basically all the time just to try and get them out of the way. Here we will target another one because I'm going to, like, heal up. Like here, see how this guy has Shatter Point? We're still going to target that droid and just kill it, right? And that's less healing that they get. It's another one that isn't taking turns, and that way we can kind of get to, stave off and rage as long as possible. So this team is very successful, but it does require some additional relics. Like, I had to bump Ayla up to Relic 5 instead of her Relic 3 that she was at for JMK. Which, again, not the worst thing in the world, but it is something just to kind of keep in mind. With these abilities, I don't know if there's an actual order that you should use them or not. I just kind of pick what I think and move on with my life. So there, we'll target that one. Let's go here. That would have been nice to kill him, but we'll get that kill. All right, Ayla. There we go. Get some assists. Oh, Cam, you almost got that killed. All right, let's get that. There we go. See, like, you're almost getting these kills here with these guys, so we've just got to get... Ooh, yikes. Kaidi Mundi, man. That's not good. We'll definitely have to... I don't think this is going to be a keep anymore. So we'll need to rectify that. But yeah, guys, there's just kind of some gameplay, right? I'm not keeping that score, which that is definitely frustrating. In terms of, like, I definitely think this raid will be a bit more time-consuming than the speeder bike raid was. At least until we learn the strategies and we start to get a little bit more familiar with abilities and when to use them, when not to use them. Other things I'd say that I'm kind of waiting to see more on is, you know, let's see if I can get that kill there. Yeah, nice one shot. The other thing I'm kind of waiting and curious to see is the, you know, if any changes do come out of this raid, right? They already talked about potentially changing the, you know, B2 mechanic, right? So that could be interesting. But also even if they change some of the lower tiers to be a little bit less challenging. Because they are, I mean, some of those lower tiers are just, I mean, it's insane, right? If you don't get the, there we go, get that kill. Like, if some of the lower tiers definitely seem a little bit overzealous on how challenging they really are. Go, get that kill. There we go, we got some nice counters. So, other thing I would say too, just remember, this raid is still, like, I don't want you guys to, like, I don't want to say freak out, but if I can encourage everybody with this raid to do one thing, it is that you need to be patient, right? Give CG time to make sure that everything is tuned. This is still the first edition of this raid. There still hasn't been a lot of time to, you know, really get the full picture of what's happening. Like, there may be things that they need to fix. There may be things that we need to, you know, solve for. So I don't want us to go right away into, oh, this raid is awful. Like, give it some time that we can figure out, is there anything that does need fixed, changed, you know, and then we can kind of discuss of, was that right of them to, you know, do that. The last thing I'll say here and kind of leave you guys with this thought is, what I'm going to encourage everybody to do is make sure that you're paying attention to, I'm going to say that I would make sure that the team comps that you're using are not just, like, don't just use, like, the most overpowered teams. The one thing I want you to really kind of be mindful of as we're in this process is make sure that you are, you know, it's going to be better for you to do, say, 900,000 damage with one team and 600,000 with another than, like, 1.3 with that team. You know, like, make sure that you're doing the most damage that you can whilst making sure that you're spreading your teams around a bit. Ah, darn it, didn't get the kill there. Also, I do want to say that the amount of, like, critical avoidance that these droids have is kind of absurd. There's a lot of crit avoidance here. And the AoEs, like the AoEs and buff dispels, a lot of that is not overly fun. I've definitely noticed that. Where, like, they just, you know, that protection disruption is insane. But yeah, overall, guys, I do want to say I am enjoying this raid. I think it is a success. I think that some of the criticisms are a bit harsh. Like, this scene, how cool is this, right? I think this is awesome. So, you know, if you're struggling, don't feel like it's crazy to be struggling with this raid. Like, that would make sense that you are. Like, it's not... I think they still have some tuning work to do in terms of... I definitely think that they started with the, like, Relic 7 tier, and then I think they kind of worked their way down. So, or, like, you know, they started with the higher tiers and then kind of worked their way down. So I think there's still some work to be done there. So let me know your thoughts, guys. I'm going to leave you here. I'm going to keep going at this raid. So stay tuned in the Discord for as I post kind of the mods that I've used on these teams and, you know, any strategies that I do come up with. Right now, I'm not comfortable giving you guys a strategy yet until I learn more myself. So I love you all. May the force be with you, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers, my friends.